December 15th, 1967, 5 p.m. The sun has already set over the Ohio River, plunging the Silver Bridge into early winter darkness. It is the height of rush hour. The bridge is packed bumper to bumper with Christmas shoppers, fathers coming home from the factories, and trucks hauling heavy loads. The structure is groaning, but the people inside their cars don't hear it over the radio and the engines. They are thinking about dinner. They are thinking about presents. They are safe in the steel cage of their vehicles. Then, at 5:04 p.m., a sound like a gunshot cracks through the valley. In less than 20 seconds, the massive steel beast collapses into the freezing dark waters below. 37 vehicles fall. 46 people die. For decades, investigators blamed a microscopic fracture in the steel. But the people of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, tell a different story. They say the bridge didn't just fall. They say they were warned. For 13 months, something had been stalking their town, a shadow with eyes like burning coal, a harbinger of doom. This is not a story about a monster. This is the autopsy of a tragedy. Welcome to the Carbon Ledger. To understand the end, we must look at the beginning. November 15th, 1966. 13 months before the bridge fall, just outside the town limits, lies the McClintock Wildlife Management Area, known locally as the TNT Area. During World War II, this was an explosives manufacturing facility. By the 1960s, it was a wasteland of abandoned concrete bunkers, dense forest, and chemical rumors. It is the kind of place that feels hostile to human life, a place where the dark feels heavier. Two young couple, the Scarberrys and the Millettes, are driving past the North Power Plant. It is a cold Tuesday night. They are looking for privacy, or perhaps just a thrill. What they find is a nightmare that will infect the entire town. Roger Scarberry slams on the brakes. He sees something standing by the roadside. It isn't a man. It isn't a bear. He describes a shape nearly 7 feet tall, gray, shifting in the headlights. But it is the eyes that freeze him. Two large, glowing red circles, roughly 2 inches in diameter, set wide apart. As the car speeds away, hitting 100 miles per hour, the creature does not run. It spreads wings, described as spanning 10 feet, and it rises. It chases them, not aggressively, but effortlessly, gliding over the vehicle, keeping pace, watching. When they reach the Mason County Sheriff's Office, they are terrified. Deputy Millard Halstead, a man known for his skepticism, looks at the 4 witnesses. He later goes on record saying, "I've known these kids all their lives. They've never been in any trouble, and they were scared to death." People don't fake that kind of fear. The file was open. The press gave it a name, borrowing from a popular Batman villain of the time, the Mothman. But to the people of Point Pleasant, this was no comic book character. It was the beginning of a seed. In most urban legends, a creature is seen once or twice, then vanishes. The Mothman was different. Following that first night in November, the dam broke. Over the next year, more than 100 reports flooded the police station. These were not tourists seeking fame. These were firemen, volunteer search and rescue pilots, farmers, serious, church-going people who had everything to lose by sounding crazy. The descriptions were disturbingly consistent. A vertical shape, no neck, eyes set into the chest or shoulders, and a sense of overwhelming, primal dread. Witnesses didn't just see the creature, they felt it. Many reported a sensation of mental static, a physical nausea that occurred when the entity was near. Then, the anomalies escalate. It wasn't just a monster anymore. It was a phenomenon, poltergeist activity in homes, strange lights moving in impossible patterns over the TNT bunkers, electronic interference on radios and television. The town of Point Pleasant was experiencing what researchers call a high strangeness wave. The atmosphere in the town shifted from curiosity to paranoia. People started locking doors that had been left open for decades. The carbon ledger reveals a pattern here. When a community is under psychological siege, the line between reality and hallucination begins to blur. But the footprints found in the mud near the bunkers were undeniably real.
Why do we create monsters? Skeptics and zoologists argue that the Mothman was simply a misidentified sandhill crane, a large bird with red patches around its eyes that can grow to the height of a man. It is a comforting theory. It explains the wings. It explains the height. But it does not explain the psychological terror. It does not explain a bird chasing a car at 100 miles per hour. And it does not explain why, for 13 months, an entire population felt like they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. In folklore, entities like this are often not the cause of disaster, but the warning. The banshee, the thunderbird, the black dog, they appear before death. Throughout 1967, the sightings clustered closer and closer to the Ohio River, closer to the Silver Bridge. Some witnesses claimed to see the figure sitting atop the steel towers, watching the traffic below. Was the town suffering from mass hysteria, a collective psychological breakdown fueled by the stress of the Vietnam War and changing times? Or was the human instinct trying to process a danger it couldn't logically see? The people felt something was wrong. They just didn't look at the bridge. They looked at the sky. We return to December 15th, 1967. The sightings have stopped. The sun has set. The Silver Bridge was an I-bar suspension bridge. Unlike modern bridges that use redundant cables, this design relied on a single chain of steel links. If one link failed, the entire chain failed. The bridge had been built in 1928 for Model T Fords. In 1967, it was carrying 40-ton semi-trucks. At Joint C-13, on the Ohio side, a microscopic stress fracture, no deeper than a few millimeters, finally gave way to physics. It happened in silence, then in thunder. The chain snapped. The tower twisted. In seconds, the bridge folded like a house of cards. Cars were thrown into the void. Others were crushed by falling steel. The dark water of the Ohio River swallowed them whole. Silence returned to Point Pleasant, but this time it was the silence of grief.
In the days following the collapse, the Mothman was never seen again. The sightings stopped instantly. This correlation birthed the legend we know today, the idea that the creature was connected to the bridge. So what is the verdict? If you look at the carbon ledger, the facts are clear. The bridge fell because of a flaw in steel manufacturing and overloading. It was a mechanical tragedy, predictable by math and physics. But the human experience is not defined by math. For the people of Point Pleasant, the Mothman gave a face to their anxiety. It gave a physical form to the impending doom that they all subconsciously felt. Whether it was a cryptid, an alien, or a large bird, Its legacy is tied to the 46 lives lost in the river. We may never know what stood in the TNT bunkers that November night, but we know that sometimes when the world is about to break, we see monsters in the cracks. This has been an entry from the Carbon Ledger. Subscribe to keep the archives open.